The Galactic Empire prided itself on its power, a coalition of countless alien species that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. Its reach was vast, its influence unquestioned, and its contempt for humanity well known. For years, humanity had been viewed as a minor, unremarkable species, a civilization too young and fragmented to warrant serious attention. Yet, despite the dismissive attitude of the Empire, humanity persisted in seeking diplomatic recognition and peaceful coexistence. Anna Keller, Earth's foremost diplomat, was humanity's voice at the negotiation table. Known for her eloquence and unwavering dedication to unity, Anna was the embodiment of what humanity aspired to be. The summit was a critical moment. Set aboard a neutral station orbiting a dying star, it was meant to signal the Empire's begrudging acknowledgement of humanity's place in the galactic order. But the negotiations never reached a conclusion. Amidst the sterile light of the conference chamber, as Anna addressed the representatives of the Empire, a single, piercing sound echoed through the hall. The shot was precise, its origin clear. A sniper stationed on the Empire's side of the room. Anna collapsed, her words forever silenced. Chaos erupted as the human delegation scrambled for cover, their cries of shock drowned by the Empire's cold dismissal. The aftermath was swift and brutal. The Empire denied involvement, its representatives claiming the assassination was the work of a rogue operative. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Surveillance footage, intercepted communications, all pointed to the Empire's hand in the murder. For humanity, this wasn't just a diplomatic insult. It was an act of war. Earth's United Nations convened within hours. For the first time in centuries, every faction of humanity stood united, from the sprawling metropolises of Earth to the fortified colonies of Mars, and the deep space mining settlements on the fringes of explored space. Leaders spoke of justice, of the need to stand against the Empire's arrogance and violence. They spoke not just for Anna Keller, but for every human who had ever suffered under the Empire's shadow. The declaration was simple yet resolute. Humanity would not be silenced. If the Empire sought to crush them, they would find humanity unyielding. Across the galaxy, the response was met with skepticism and ridicule. The Empire viewed humanity's declaration as laughable, a minor power threatening a coalition that spanned thousands of worlds. Yet within humanity's borders, there was no laughter. There was only preparation. Factories on Mars switched from civilian production to manufacturing weapons and warships. Earth's universities poured their brightest minds into military research, unlocking innovations that had been theories only weeks before. Spaceports buzzed with activity as fleets were assembled, and every able-bodied man and woman trained for a war that seemed impossible to win. The human spirit, however, had always thrived under impossible odds. Anna Keller's name became a rallying cry, a reminder of what had been lost and what was at stake. For Anna echoed across the stars, uniting humanity in a way it had never been before. The Empire had made a grave error. It had underestimated humanity, not just its capacity for vengeance, but its ability to stand together as one. The stars bore witness as humanity, for the first time in its history, prepared to fight not for survival, but for justice. The Galactic Empire's initial response to humanity's declaration of war was derisive. To them, this upstart species posed no real threat. Their fleets were unmatched, their armies vast, and their technological superiority unquestioned. The idea that a single planet and a handful of colonies could challenge their might was laughable. But humanity was not to be underestimated. The first blow came without warning. In the dead silence of a distant star system, a key supply depot of the Empire was obliterated in an instant. Human ships, sleek and equipped with advanced stealth technology, had penetrated deep into Empire-controlled space without detection. By the time the alarm sounded, it was already too late. The depot and its surrounding defenses were reduced to ash, and the human fleet vanished as quickly as it had appeared. The Empire dismissed the attack as a fluke. Yet days later, a strategic communication hub on the edge of the Empire's borders went dark, its entire network severed. Military supply lines collapsed in the region as humanity leveraged cyber warfare to devastating effect. Human hackers exploited vulnerabilities that the Empire had deemed unthinkable. It wasn't brute strength, it was ingenuity, adaptability, and a willingness to strike where it hurt the most. On the battlefield, humanity's unconventional tactics began to shine. In a small but pivotal ground engagement on an outer colony world, Empire forces landed with their usual overwhelming numbers and firepower. Their towering mechs and heavily armored infantry units were designed to crush resistance with ease. But the human defenders fought differently. They didn't rely on static defenses or outdated formations. Instead, they used hit-and-run tactics, exploiting the terrain and luring the Empire's forces into deadly ambushes. Homemade EMP devices disabled the Empire's mechs, leaving their soldiers vulnerable to precise, coordinated strikes. Civilians worked alongside the military, creating a network of resistance that the Empire found impossible to dismantle. By the time reinforcements arrived, the Empire's forces had been routed. Their advanced technology left scattered across the battlefield as trophies of humanity's resilience. The Galactic Empire was beginning to notice. Reports of human victories, however small, were becoming too frequent to ignore. Fleet commanders who once laughed at the idea of a human threat found themselves reviewing losses they couldn't explain. Humanity was turning its supposed weaknesses, its lack of resources, its disunity, into strengths. Where the Empire relied on overwhelming force, humanity relied on adaptability. Behind the scenes, Earth scientists worked tirelessly to close the technological gap. Decades of theoretical research were being tested and implemented at a breakneck pace. Humanity didn't just adapt to the Empire's tactics. It innovated beyond them. Experimental propulsion systems allowed human ships to move unpredictably in battle, while new alloys made their armor more resistant to the Empire's energy weapons. But it wasn't just technology that gave humanity an edge. It was their sheer determination. They fought not for conquest or dominance, but for survival and justice. Every skirmish, every battle, was driven by the memory of Anna Keller and the belief that humanity deserved its place in the galaxy. The Empire, for all its power, was beginning to realize that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its technology or tactics. It was its unyielding spirit. What the Empire thought would be a swift and decisive victory was turning into a drawn-out conflict. And for the first time in centuries, the Galactic Empire found itself unsure of its ability to win. The Galactic Empire's confidence had begun to waver. What they once dismissed as a minor rebellion had grown into a war they could no longer ignore. Humanity, once thought insignificant, had become a genuine threat. But the Empire was not just fighting humanity. They were fighting a species that had learned to turn every disadvantage into an advantage. One of humanity's most significant breakthroughs came not from weapons but from diplomacy. Within the Empire's vast borders were countless species who had suffered under its rule. These species were subjugated, their cultures suppressed, their resources exploited. The Empire relied on fear to maintain control, but fear could be broken. Humanity reached out to these oppressed species, offering not just freedom but equality. Their message was simple: join us, and we will fight together for a future where no one kneels to the Empire. Many hesitated, uncertain if humanity could truly challenge their oppressors. But the victories humanity had already achieved spoke volumes. Slowly, alliances began to form. The first to join were the Silurians, a race of engineers renowned for their skill with energy systems. Their expertise transformed humanity's weapons, enhancing the efficiency and output of laser cannons and shielding systems. Next were the Thalics, a warrior species whose centuries of servitude had dulled none of their combat prowess. With their help, humanity's ground forces gained seasoned fighters who understood the Empire's tactics intimately. These alliances weren't just strategic, they were symbolic. They showed the galaxy that the Empire's dominance was not absolute. As the coalition grew, so too did the morale of humanity and its allies. The Empire, for all its power, was beginning to fracture under the weight of its arrogance. Meanwhile, humanity's scientists unveiled a new technology that would change the course of the war. The hyperflux drive, a hybrid propulsion system, allowed human ships to perform maneuvers previously thought impossible. Not only could fleets travel faster than light, but they could also make rapid microjumps in the middle of battle, vanishing and reappearing in unpredictable locations. The hyperflux drive was put to the test in the Battle of Krellin's Void. The Empire had amassed a massive fleet, intending to crush humanity and its allies in a single decisive strike. But when the battle began, humanity's ships moved in ways the Empire couldn't comprehend. They struck from blind spots, appeared behind enemy formations, and disappeared before the Empire could retaliate. The battle was chaos for the Empire's forces. Ships collided, commanders issued contradictory orders, and the once mighty fleet was thrown into disarray. By the end, humanity and its allies emerged victorious, leaving the Empire to retreat in humiliation. But the cost of victory was steep. In the final moments of the battle, Admiral Eric Tanis, the architect of the hyperflux drive, sacrificed his flagship to protect the coalition fleet. His loss was a devastating blow, but his actions cemented his legacy as a hero. Humanity mourned, but their resolve only grew stronger. The cracks in the Empire were now visible. Even within its leadership, dissent was growing. Some argued for a ceasefire, while others insisted on total annihilation of humanity. The indecision weakened their response, giving humanity and its allies time to consolidate their gains. The galaxy was watching. The Empire, once an unshakable force, was faltering, and humanity, through its ingenuity, alliances, and unbreakable will, was proving that even the mightiest empires could fall. The Empire's leadership, fractured and desperate, struggled to maintain control as humanity and its coalition pressed deeper into their territory. What had once seemed impossible was now undeniable. The Galactic Empire was losing. The coalition's victories were not just military but ideological, inspiring oppressed species across the galaxy to rise up against their overlords. The tide had turned, and humanity's momentum was unstoppable. The final campaign began with a coordinated assault on the Empire's core systems. Humanity, supported by its allies, launched simultaneous attacks on key strategic targets. Shipyards, resource depots, and military command centers were systematically dismantled. The hyperflux drive gave the coalition unmatched mobility, allowing them to strike multiple targets in rapid succession before the Empire could muster a response. But the Empire was not yet defeated. Desperate to regain control, they consolidated their remaining forces around their capital world, Zereth Primus, a planet that symbolized their centuries of dominance. The defenses were formidable, orbital fortresses bristling with weaponry, an armada of warships, and planetary shields designed to withstand any assault. The message was clear: if humanity wanted to end the war, they would have to face the Empire's full might. The coalition's fleet gathered in the shadow of a dying star, the largest armada ever assembled. Humans and aliens stood side by side, united by a shared purpose. The plan was bold and dangerous, relying on precise coordination and the element of surprise. Failure would mean annihilation, but the coalition had no intention of failing. The assault began with a diversion. A small fleet, led by the Phalanx warriors, engaged the Empire's outer defenses, drawing their forces away from the main target. Meanwhile, humanity's ships used the hyperflux drive to slip through the gaps in the Empire's formation, targeting the orbital fortresses with surgical precision. The battle was chaotic and brutal. Ships collided in a storm of fire and debris, and the void was filled with the screams of the dying. Yet, humanity's tactics once again proved superior. By exploiting the Empire's rigidity, they dismantled the defensive network piece by piece. The coalition's engineers, led by the Solarians, worked tirelessly to disable the planetary shield, their expertise turning the tide of the battle. As the shield fell, humanity's ground forces prepared for the final push. Soldiers from Earth, Mars, and the farthest colonies joined their alien allies in an assault on the capital city. The streets of Zereth Primus became a battlefield, with coalition forces facing the Empire's elite troops. Despite the overwhelming odds, the coalition advanced, their determination unshaken. In the Empire's throne room, the once mighty emperor stood alone, his court abandoned and his empire in ruins. The coalition forces breached the palace, but instead of executing him, Humanity's representative offered him a choice: surrender and face justice, or die with his crumbling empire. The emperor, broken and defeated, chose to surrender. The war was over. Humanity and its allies emerged victorious, not through sheer force but through unity, ingenuity, and an unyielding belief in their cause. The Galactic Empire, which had ruled through fear and oppression, was dismantled. In its place, the coalition established a new Galactic Council, one built on equality and cooperation. Humanity, once seen as insignificant, had proven its worth to the galaxy. They were no longer just survivors. They were leaders, builders, and defenders of a better future. The stars were no longer a place of fear. They were a beacon of hope, a testament to what could be achieved when disparate voices came together as one. As the coalition celebrated their hard-won victory, humanity reflected on the cost. The lives lost, the world scarred by war, and the sacrifices made would never be forgotten. But neither would the legacy they had forged. Humanity had risen, not by dominating others, but by lifting them up. And in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever.